Most people can tell you the essential bullet points of Elvis Presley's life. He grew up poor, met Colonel Parker, cultural appropriation, swinging hips, biggest star in the world, got fat, Vegas, died on a toilet.
So one for the money, two for the show. Pretty get ready now, go, can't go, don't you?
These facts are inseparable from the myth that is Elvis. But if you dig a little deeper, you can discover some truly bizarre facets of the king of rock and roll's life that not many people know.
Walking through a party in the county jail. The prison band was there, they began to wail.
I'm Nostalgic Nick, and today we're going to be examining some of the weirdest, wildest, wackiest facts about Elvis's life. Be sure to hit that thumbs up icon for us, and subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications. But come on, let's get all shook up. Another Elvis? Can you imagine a world with two identical Elvises? Whoa, neither can I. And despite an army of impersonators that would beg to differ, there was only ever one man with the king's DNA.
All my brothers walk hand in hand, tell me why.
But that almost wasn't the case, because Elvis Aaron Presley was born 35 minutes after his identical twin brother Jesse Garon Presley, who unfortunately was stillborn. And the death of his brother had a profound effect on Elvis. As he grew up an only child with few friends, and after he became famous, he brought up his twin in interviews often. Who knows what the landscape of pop music would have looked like if there were two Presley brothers strutting their stuff on stage. Move on over, Everly Brothers. Never wrote a song. Although this fact is almost impossible to verify 100%, it is widely believed that Elvis never wrote a song in his career, which is kind of extraordinary considering he released over 600 songs all told. Elvis even said as much in an interview in 1957. Quote, "It's all a big hoax, honey. I never wrote a song in my life. I've never even had an idea for a song. Just once maybe, I went to bed one night, had quite a dream, and woke up all shook up. I phoned a pal and told him about it. By morning, he had a new song, All Shook Up."
I can't seem to stand on my own feet. Who do you think when you have such a look? I'm in love. I'm all shook up.
But wait, you say, that was really early in his career, and he received numerous songwriting credits after that interview. Yeah, except his label would demand that Elvis receive 50% of the songwriting credit before he would record the song, even if he had nothing to do with it, which sounds kind of shady, but I guess we'll never know the truth. A black belt in karate. Everybody knows about Elvis's sexy gyrations, setting teen hearts afire. But did you know his legs were good for something other than raw, unadulterated sexuality? Nope, neither did I. But Elvis could also kick some ass, literally. While stationed in Germany during his stint in the army, Elvis became obsessed with martial arts, eventually obtaining a black belt in karate in 1960. He showed off his prodigious skill with feet and hands in many of his future movies, and continued to study karate for the rest of his life. Although maybe he should have chosen a better teacher, as it's rumored that both his wife Priscilla Presley and lover Anne Margaret had an affair with Elvis's martial arts instructor, Mike Stone. Hey, that's a low blow, Mike. Tipped a limo driver the limo. Elvis grew up poor in the boondocks of Mississippi, and even after he had all the fame and money in the world, he never forgot how hard it was to have nothing, which made the king super generous, sometimes exceedingly so.
Love me tender, love me true. All my dreams fulfilled.
Once, while touring in Miami Beach, a limo driver picked Elvis up from a helipad to drive him to his concert. After the show, the same driver brought the singer back to his waiting helicopter. And after a trip of about 10 blocks in what I can only imagine must have been a scintillating conversation, Elvis asked the man if he owned the limo he was driving, to which he replied no, he worked for the company. And Elvis replied, quote, "You now own it," tipping the man the entire massive car, because he's Elvis and why not? Never performed outside North America. The Beatles took over Japan, Everyone from Frank Sinatra to Tina Turner crooned to hundreds of thousands of fans in Rio's Maracanã Stadium. It's pretty ingrained in our minds that famous musicians will travel anywhere, playing for adoring fans all over the world. Which is why it might come as a shock to you that Elvis never played a single concert outside the confines of North America. And excepting 5 Canadian shows over 3 nights in early 1957, he never strummed a single tune outside the US. Explanations for this vary, but one of the most intriguing is that of Elvis's manager, Colonel Parker, who was an illegal Dutch immigrant who never received a US passport. So it's presumed he was afraid of being refused re-entry into the country if he left. Still, it seems a shame to deprive the good people of the world the king of rock and roll. Dyed his hair. Who could ever forget Elvis's iconic look? Black leather jacket, black pants, gyrating hips, slicked back naturally black hair all combined to make Elvis seem a rebellious god to teens and their worst nightmare to parents. Except Elvis's hair wasn't naturally black. It was sandy brown, which if you picture it wouldn't have been nearly as cool. Early on in his career, Elvis decided that jet black hair made him look edgier on stage. And the incredibly poor musician started to dye his locks with the only readily available ingredient: shoe polish. There's a rumor that the king, an avid comic book fan, based his look after the character Captain Marvel Jr., whose early iterations also had obsidian hair and sideburns, but we'll never know for sure. Owned a chimpanzee. In a move that would later be repeated by his future son-in-law Michael Jackson, and later by Ross from Friends. Elvis had a pet that was very closely related to humans, namely a chimpanzee named Scatter. And Scatter was certainly an appropriate name because instead of training the ape to help him on jewel heists, which is of course what I would have done, Elvis liked to release Scatter unannounced during parties at his Graceland mansion, where he would wreak havoc amongst guests. And, how do I say this, become a bit fresh with the female partygoers. While Elvis laughed uproariously, no doubt. Bad Scatter, good Scatter, I don't know, just Scatter. Nixon Badge of Honor. Elvis loved impersonating cops and took great pride in all the honorary police badges from across the country he'd received. Oftentimes, with unsuspecting passengers in tow, he would plop a police siren on top of his car and go tearing off after a speeding civilian, before delivering a short lecture and an autograph to the bewildered driver. This love of law enforcement reached its pinnacle in one of the strangest celebrity encounters of all time, when President Nixon invited Elvis to the White House to personally give him a badge from the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. Elvis told Nixon that the Beatles were encouraging anti-American sentiment before gifting the president a handgun from World War II. Kinda makes Elvis seem a little square. Released an album with no music. We all know Elvis produced a huge volume of music throughout his career. He recorded almost 600 songs across 41 albums during his lifetime. But did you know he once made an album that contained no music whatsoever? The year was 1974, and the King was engaged in a fight with his label. He was contractually obligated to release one more album for him, but not wanting to do more work his label would profit from. Elvis released Having Fun with Elvis on Stage, an album consisting solely of his banter between songs. And before you think, oh, that actually sounds kind of cool, I'm gonna go buy it, just listen to this review. Some have called Having Fun with Elvis on Stage thoroughly unlistenable, but actually it's worse than that. Hearing it is like witnessing an auto wreck that somehow plowed into a carnival freak show, leaving onlookers at once too horrified and too baffled to turn away. I mean, that is gorgeous. Alright, that's all we got for now. Did you know these strange facts about Elvis Presley's life? Are there any that we didn't mention? Please get in the comments and tell us all things Elvis Presley. If you enjoyed the video, click the thumbs up to show us some support, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a memory. But from all of us here at Do You Remember, we want to thank you for watching.